Yo, Russ here, and today I got a little something different for you guys. There have been a slew of games that were released in the last few months, and it's a lot to try and cover. You all have caught a glimpse of what I've been doing on my channel here with, all the Let's Plays and whatnot. But if you haven't, you can always stay up to date on what I'm playing over on my Twitch channel. However, figured I'd give you a few thoughts, run through a few of the games I've been playing, give you a few thoughts on what I think about them. Let me say this. This is not a professional review of these games, okay? All right, we got that. Cool. These are just thoughts from an average dude like you all. So all these games that I'm about to talk about came out in I guess roughly the last 6, 7, 8, 9 months, somewhere in there. But without further ado, let's go ahead and get into it. Crisis Core Final Fantasy VII Reunion. Now, fun fact here, I actually have the original version of this game on the PSP, and back when it came out, I played the ever-living hell out of it and still didn't get everything, but that's besides the point. What are we getting here with this new game? If you're expecting any kind of change to the story, get that out your mind right now. This is the same exact story with little to no change at all. If there's anything that changed in the story, there are new, voice lines that they might have added here and there to, I guess, make the dialogue a bit smoother. But aside from that, the overall plot, the beats that happened in the original game are all here. Nothing has really changed much at all. But I will say, it is very nice to have all the lines voice acted nowadays. You don't have to go through and read any dialogue, which has its ups and downs.
Ah, no! You got me!
It definitely changes the pace of the dialogue compared to the original, because the original didn't have any pace. You were basically reading all the lines as you were going through. But now, since they're voice acted, some conversations can kind of come off a little weird. Some of the lines that you were reading were either really corny or awkward and whatnot, but you didn't really notice because you were reading it in your own mind at your own pace. Now that dialogue is spoken exactly how it's shown on the screen, you're at the mercy of however the director and the voice actors decide to say the shit. And 9 times out of 10, it comes off pretty awkward. But again, that is mainly just for lines that were previously unvoiced. Everything else is either acted in better context or just given better direction overall. The whole cast did a great job. All the new voice actors are good, except for Zach. And this is the one thing that almost kept me from playing this game. It almost did. Zach's new voice actor. God, no offense, bro. No offense, but I want my old Zach back. This game is the game that made Zach my favorite Final Fantasy character out of all the characters in the series. And ever since they changed his voice, my heart has been torn to pieces. It's not that he's all bad. If you played the remake of Final Fantasy VII, that was the first time we actually heard his voice, and
We drag our asses all this way. This is the welcome we get.
it was pretty rough. But I decided to give it a chance in this one, and it's better. It's definitely better. There are still times where it's just like he doesn't give off the heroic dude trying to do the best he can vibe, which is kind of the vibe you get from Zach in this game, considering the story and whatnot. If anything, he comes off more like a brat to me.
At least someone's keeping up.
Well, I'm a country boy too.
From where?
Nibelheim. How about you?
Me? Gungaga. Hey, what's so funny about that? You know Gungaga?
No, but it's such a backwater name.
Ditto Nibelheim.
Like you've been there.
I haven't, but there's a reactor there, right? A Mako reactor outside Midgar usually means
Nothing else out there.
Good news, Song. Me and
Which maybe that's what they want, but that's not the Zach I grew up with. That's not how I viewed him as.
At least someone's keeping up.
Well, I'm a country boy too.
From where?
Nibelheim. How about you?
Me? Gungaga. Hey, what's so funny about that? You know Gungaga?
No, but it's such a backwater name.
Ditto Nibelheim.
Like you've been there.
I haven't. But there's a reactor there, right? A Mako reactor outside Midgar usually means Nothing else out there. Good news, Song. Me
And who knows, maybe not my perspective on him needs to change. But that being said, he's not bad. He's not bad at all. His performance definitely is better than when we first heard him, and that's all I got to say about him. Moving on to graphics now. Of course, this is the main reason why you bought this game in the first place, and to their credit, the game is fucking pretty. You can tell that most of the budget went into making the game look nice. Almost every damn thing in this game has been touched, from the menus, the character models, the cutscenes, the environmental textures, particle effects, lighting. Like, yo, the shit ain't dark anymore like it used to be. They really did a lot more than I think anybody was really expecting. Like, bro, you can see all the pores in this man's face. However, there are a few things that I noticed. So there are new character models. However, they're still using the old, I guess, rigs that they used for the original characters. And it can kind of be jarring to see these more than realistic looking models move all fucking robotic like and shit. And then they have their mouths moving like they have a hand shoved up their ass. And there's also a lack of consistency with like the main cutscenes. Many of the FMVs in the scenes that are basically ripped straight from the PSP version where the old models were used, instead of incorporating the new models and redoing the scenes entirely. So that can be a bit jarring as well. It's kind of funny how Zack has one hairstyle and then it flips to another hairstyle in the middle of nowhere. It's like, dude, how'd you find the time to go visit a hair salon in the middle of nowhere? Excuse me? Gameplay wise, I will say, if you played the original, it's gonna feel very familiar. However, I am glad to say that it is a hell of a lot better. It is so much more responsive than before. Like when you hit the button, Zack swings the sword and like instantly, instead of you hitting the button and then you gotta wait for the animation to play out. Cause that caused so many timing issues when having to dodge attacks and stuff from the original game. Now that it's like more instantaneous, you really feel like you have more control over what your character is doing. And that is a godsend. Thank God they did that. Of course, Zack is the only main playable character still. All the mechanics that you know and love that you might have remembered from the original game are back. You know, using materia, which is actually, that's improved too, to be honest with you. Before you had to like scroll through a whole bunch of different items to try and get what you want to use and during a battle, and now that is so much better, mainly because you have more buttons to use than on a PSP. And I will say, talking about overall level design, this game still plays like it's a PSP game. Like there's no getting away from it. The levels are clearly not restructured to modern gaming standards. They are hallways, which, I mean, to each their own. I don't mind it. People hate that shit. People want open world. I don't care. Anyway, and there are many sections to each of these worlds. But that being said, it was still a nice time to go back through it all. I thoroughly enjoyed this game, and I'd say if you are curious about this, if you haven't played it already, I know it's been forever. It's been a minute since this came out, but if you are curious about this game, I would say go ahead and give it a try. It'll give you some much needed context for Final Fantasy VII if you're new to that franchise, and it's not a bad game, and it's a short game, relatively short. You know, in the grand scheme of RPGs, it's relatively short. I feel like they've done enough to where it's worth your time. Atomic Heart. All right, look, bruh, I'm gonna be honest with you real quick. I only played like an hour of this thing, and about 15 minutes of that was me trying to get my graphic settings right. I don't know what it was, but this game just ain't hit like I thought it was going to. I got through the intro tutorial and never picked this shit back up again. I don't know if it was the expectation of the type of game it was gonna be, or the weird ass robot that wanted to have sex with you all the time.
Get rid of that glove, handsome. You don't need him anymore now that you've got me. I'll service you however you want. Got a sword? A massive sword? Thrust it deep into my socket so I can make it sturdier and sharper.
What?
Some here just no. Sonic Frontiers. Okay, few things real quick. 1, yes, I am a Sonic fan. 2, no, I have not played every single Sonic game. Here are the ones that I've played. Hate me if you want to. 3, if you say Sonic Adventure 2 is the last great Sonic game,
There's the door, bitch!
Please see yourself out. I cannot take you seriously. Okay, all right, moving on. Is Sonic Frontiers good? If I had to put it on a scale of good to bad Sonic games, I'd probably say it is somewhere leaning towards the good side of things. And here's why. Sonic Frontiers is like if meditation and therapy was a Sonic game. All the serene landscapes and like the chill ass music really makes you feel at ease. That is until you reach the main bosses, and then the rock music and the hardcore kicks in, and yeah. But that's besides the point. Quickly get the story out of the way, which, to be honest, is not much of one, but you know, it's a story. So Sonic and his friends are somehow transported to this new world, but all of his friends are captured. Sonic's the only one that's out and about, and he needs to go save them. So he goes off to do that. And that's about it, without spoiling a bit too much. There are some more nuances and stuff to the story, but that is kind of like spoiler territory, so I'm not going to get into that. The story is actually pretty intriguing if you can like get into the details of it, but I'll talk about that a little bit later on. The main reason you're playing this game is of course for the gameplay, and the big selling point is the open world, or open zones as they like to call it, which honestly is more of how they should be described. It's not an open world because they're not interconnected. Throughout the game you have several different zones that you'll go to, each of them with their own theme and aesthetic, and they also, I call them zones, they're also called islands in the actual game. So as you traverse these islands, you'll go collecting Chaos Emeralds, speeding through traditional Sonic levels, which, okay, Sega. Sonic Team. What the fuck? Can y'all not come up with another zone design? Like, for real. I need y'all to start tapping into that creativity up here, because if I see another Green Hill, Sky Sanctuary, whatever this low taxpayer budget ass speed highway looking shit is, we gonna have some problems. So you'll be speeding through traditional Sonic levels, also solving puzzles, taking on side quests to save Sonic's friends, all while listening to the Rainy Day music stream on YouTube. And to be honest, I think that's what makes this game special. Never before in a Sonic game have you really been encouraged to slow down and move at your own pace. Most Sonic games encourage you moving forward, going fast, not giving a shit about what's around you. Just find the quickest way to move forward and get those reaction times up as high as you can. Here, you're really encouraged to stop, look around, take in the scenery, figure out where you want to go, and even figure out how to get to where you want to go. And again, I think that's what makes this game unique in the whole pantheon of Sonic games. Now, with that being said, there are still some issues that I have with the game. The story of this game, while it has some good potential, ultimately it left me feeling unfulfilled. There are a lot of elements introduced in it that look like they could go some really, really crazy and interesting places, but they don't get any closure, at least not in this game. Maybe they'll get some closure in future games, who knows. But here, you kind of don't get shit unless I miss something. And even on top of that, there are a lot of character interactions that don't really need to be there. No character development really happens aside from Sonic and the one other character in the game. Like, a lot of the dialogue, it seems like it's a filler arc in an anime. And then the main gripe that I have with this game, and it's not really a gripe for me, but it can be a main gripe for a lot of other people coming into this game. It can start to feel pretty tedious. I'd say anywhere from like a quarter to halfway through the game. A good portion of this game is going to these islands and doing the same thing over and over and over again, which I think Sonic Team did know that, which is why they decided to change the gameplay up a little bit past this point. But then it ends up reverting back anyway. So it's kind of just like, if you weren't enticed by the first part of this game, the game probably isn't going to do too much more to keep you around for the long haul. However, I still stand by that. I do think this is a good game. If you're a Sonic fan, it is a must play. And if you're not a Sonic fan, I think it's different enough to maybe warrant you to try it out. There's a good amount to like here. And hell, I didn't even mention the combat. The combat is pretty good. The combat's pretty good. Sonic feels like more of a badass than he ever has. So here, kicking waves and punching shit and all this yo, Sonic went and took some martial arts classes. Where, I don't know, but whatever he took, I need to learn it, because that shit hits hard. Like, you actually feel powerful The impacts feel like they have actual impact, and the moves are just satisfying to pull off. Getting into a fight, minus, you know, maybe just not wanting to waste your time, getting into a fight is actually pretty fun in this game. Regardless of the enemy, and even all the enemies have different ways you have to take them down. You can't just run up on an enemy normally and just do the same shit. All of them have specific ways you got to take them down, and it varies from area to area, which is very, very, very good indeed. But yeah, Forspoken. Okay, look. This game has been trashed by everybody and their grandchild fifth removed, and I'm not going to sit here and make excuses for its shortcomings. Is the world dead? Yeah. Is the story lackluster? Yeah. Does the main character curse so much that I could pay my rent off the amount of swear jars she'd fill up?
What the f was that? Oh, fuck. Shut the f up. This place fucking sucks. Fuck this. Motherfuck.
Yes. The main selling point of this game was never any of those things. Again, that's not to excuse it, but the main point of this game was 1, the combat, and 2, the traversal. And I think the game nails both of those aspects pretty well. So starting with the combat, there's a lot that you can dive into here with a slew of different abilities spread across 4 different elements. However, that is when you get access to them. I'm not gonna lie, combat feels really awkward in the beginning. You start out with Frey's earth magic, and to be honest, her shit kind of sucks. The best you can really do is pop enemies from a distance, and she's so damn weak at first that the battles feel like they can drag on forever. And due to this, the first couple of hours of this game can kind of feel like a slog. However, if you can stick through to at least the first boss fight and unlock your second magical element, the game's enjoyment dramatically increases. You given abilities that let you to get up close and personal with the enemies, as well as easily manage crowd control, and this only gets amplified as you beat more and more bosses and gain more and more abilities. To be honest, this girl is essentially Mega Man, or Mega Woman, Rock Girl. Literally Rock Girl. The same power creep extends to the traversal as well. As you gain new abilities, you'll go from dashing to swinging off rocks, zipping across chasms, to even surfing. And all of it feels really good to pull off, especially if you can keep it flowing. If you take the time, there's a surprising amount of depth to the magic system. Being able to combo different spells together on top of switching elements on the fly to combo even more, and then having the knowledge of how long your cooldown times are in order to queue up the right spell at the right time. It can get kind of crazy for those who actually put the time into it. In my honest opinion, this game was probably made out to be a lot bigger than it really is. I mean, this map is fucking huge. That is one thing. This map is gigantic. Like what? Like who? What? Why? Why is it this big? Anyway, this is a fun average adventure with cool looking magical fighting and parkour. And to all of you out there, I ask, what's wrong with that? Every game doesn't need to be Game of the Year nominee worthy. You know, if the price matches. $70 is kind of a lot of money for this. I'm not gonna deny that either. This definitely, I mean, it's gone on discount now, but yeah, full price for this, no, I wouldn't do that. But I will say, as I was playing this on stream, a lot of people did keep saying, hey, this actually looks pretty fun. What do you think about it? And my answer to that was, if it looks fun, go for it. No one knows what you like better than you. Like I said, I had fun with it. It kind of sucks that now that the company has been merged back into Square Enix, that we're probably not going to get any more of this. We got the DLC, and hopefully that'll give us, you know, more story stuff to dive into a bit, even though, like I said, the story isn't that great. It's a giant isekai, if you know what that is. But yeah, Forspoken. I think this game gets shit on a lot more than it actually should be, mainly because 1, it was hyped up all crazy, and 2, Harry Potter came out. Hi-Fi Rush. Do you have Xbox Game Pass? Go get the game. Pokemon Scarlet and Violet. I have not played a Pokemon since Gen 5. So this perspective is coming from a guy that's been out of the Pocket Monster scene for a minute. However, seeing the direction that Game Freak was going with the whole open world and wandering Pokemon and choose your own progression really got my head to turn. These are literally the ideas that my friends and I would toss around to each other when we were kids trying to make our own Pokemon game in our minds. So I went with Pokemon Scarlet version, and how'd that turn out? Well, let's just say there's a lot to be desired. Like when you get a T-pose at the start of the game, shit ain't about to be sweet. Now, keep in mind that everything I'm about to say was based off the game before it got patched. I don't know if the patch has fixed a lot of these issues. So let's start with the biggest thing. This game runs like absolute dog shit. There are glitches everywhere. Frame rate is never consistent. Loading with fast travel ain't fast. Takes an eternity. And add to that, the camera can really be a nuisance during battle. Like, especially if you're caught on like some kind of incline. Like, dog, I'm trying to see my Pokemon give this fade real quick, and then we move on to customization. It still sucks. Like, Nintendo, Game Freak, come on, look at this, and now look at me. Do I need to say more? Something ain't lining up here. And then on top of that, since you're a student in school, you have all these uniforms you have to wear, which you can't change out of, or you can't customize that as well, besides, which seasonal outfit that you get to wear. And I feel like it's really stifling the ability to express myself. And isn't that what we're all about in 2023? They do try to give you other aspects to personalize yourself with, such as shoes, backpacks, hats, but to be honest, the options they give you are very lackluster, and when I did like something, it ain't really matched the whole ensemble. So, yeah. If we move over to the gameplay aspect of, well, the game, it's pretty much Pokemon you still remember for the most part. Whether that's good or bad is up to you. The most notable change, as I said earlier, is the open world / non-linear story. After some initial tutorial and setup, you're free to go pretty much wherever the fuck you want to go and tackle whatever you want to tackle. Kinda. Yes, you can try to go anywhere you want to and take on different objectives, but don't be surprised if little Jimmy over here decides to whoop that ass because you pulled up on the wrong block. The slow level scaling of Pokemon in certain areas will still try to keep you on a focused path as you traverse this map, and there are some areas that you just flat out aren't able to get to until you acquire the necessary traversal ability, which is story locked, which often involves a very powerful Pokemon battle, which then goes back to the fact that you ain't strong enough and you need to level up your Pokemon in these lower level areas. You see where I'm getting at here? And yes, people have told me about the tricks and glitches that you can use to get to some of these areas, but that's not what we're here to talk about, okay? We don't do that. We're legit around here. Other inclusions involve your Pokemon being able to run around and terrorize the surrounding ecosystem, which is kind of cool, to be honest. But there's one big problem with that too. Why can't my Pokemon evolve when it's outside this way? Like, I don't know if this is an oversight or some kind of limitation of the engine, but this shit kind of sucks. Like, the whole point of this feature was to not have to engage yourself in so many Pokemon battles to try and get your Pokemon up to speed. But then this basically just gets in the way of that, because if a Pokemon levels up outside running around, I would then have to level it up again inside of an actual battle or giving it a rare candy or some other item for it to actually evolve. What sense does that make? Now I have to be mindful of how my Pokemon is progressing while it's running around, and then have to stop it right before it actually levels up so I can like actually get the evolution if I want it. So basically I have to be mindful of his ass again when the whole point was to not be mindful of it, aside from letting the little bastard die, and it's just getting in the way. It's just the concept and actual implementation, I feel like, are butting heads. Or maybe it was never supposed to work. I don't know. Anyway, ow, that hurt. Talking about battling again, the battling is basically unchanged aside from the new terrestrialization mechanic. Okay, I think I got it. Which is game's new power-up / comeback mechanic that they've been doing for the past couple of games now. Battles are still turn-based. I don't think that's ever really going to change. And that's not bad. I'm not saying it's bad. But, oh my god, in this game... the text will take a sweet ass time to scroll through. And yes, I have my text speed to fast. I checked it multiple times. And then on top of that, the battle animations are slow because the frame rate wants to take a dip because the Switch can't handle everything that's happening on the screen. Oh my goodness. Despite all this though, I still really like the game. I'm not gonna lie, I like the game. I don't know, maybe it's because I've been away from Pokemon for so long, but there was just enough new to bring me back in while still having enough old stuff for it to be familiar and not overwhelming to me. Like, there are plenty of new Pokemon to play around with, but still an abundance of old ones if that's more of your fancy. Reactivating myself to the different battle strategies with, you know, all the new abilities that have been introduced to Pokemon over the years was really engaging. And hell, even thanks to the revamped move tutor, while yes, it does take away some of the consequence that older games had, it does bring much more experimentation to your Pokemon, because now the move tutor is basically in the menu. You don't have to go find somebody, and you can immediately swap moves that your Pokemon knows instantly, instead of having to really sit and think about your decision before you progress forward until you can get to that point, which again, it takes out the consequence of planning ahead, but it does allow you to really build that team that you really want to for whatever situation you might be facing. So I thought that was really cool. Also, the narrative of this game, not too bad, not too bad. The story is basically composed of 3 branching quest lines. You have your traditional quest line with all the gyms and the Elite Four. It's pretty much standard. They do try to spice it up a bit with having you complete different gym challenges before you can actually fight the gym. Some of them hit, some of them don't. And then you have the rival gang quest line, which doesn't do anything crazy per se, but it is an endearing little story that honestly made me want to keep going and see what made these little delinquents this way. And some of the battles in that were kind of gave me a run for my money, I'm not gonna lie. And then finally you have what I would consider to be the main quest line of the game, because the other 2 kind of feed into this one. I will spoil, there is like a final story type deal that you must complete all the other quests before you can go into this one. And while not the best story that we've had in Pokemon game, the overall mystery, emotion, and plot twists are still very satisfying here. Not to spoil anything, but when's the last time a Pokemon got character development like this? Like the monster, not any of the human characters, but the actual Pokemon itself. I don't remember. Well, maybe like Sun and Moon. Maybe I can't remember the name of the Pokemon, but this little bastard right here, you know what I'm talking about. But everything they set up here is nicely paid off and has stuck with me. I know I've skipped some stuff such as raid battles, online play, and whatnot. And to be honest, I didn't spend too much time with it. From what I played, it was fun. I had some people that were nice enough to want to have me try it out with them, which you need to try out raid battles with people, otherwise you're gonna get demolished if you just have the AI companions. That's a no-go. But to be honest, I was just enamored by this core single-player experience. So if you've been sticking with the franchise since its inception, I can see it being a little harder to find the positives and recommending it to somebody, but you're also probably somebody that's already bought it and played both versions all the way through, so this whole thing means nothing to you anyway. On the flip side though, if you haven't played Pokemon in a minute and you're curious about where the franchise is possibly going, I'd say don't hesitate to give it a shot. Like I said, there's plenty of new stuff to pique my curiosity, but a lot of old stuff to make it not feel too crazy and like I didn't know what I was doing. And also the DLC right around the corner. Now is as good a time as any to jump in. So that's my recommendation. If you're curious about Pokemon now, go for it. If you like Pokemon, it might not be enough here for you, but go at your own discretion. So if you made it this far in the video, I just want to thank you for watching all the way through. Hopefully you watched all the way through. This has been something I've wanted to do for a while with these games specifically, and honestly even like other games that didn't make the cut, mainly because I didn't have as much to say off the rip. Like I said, these were just quick thoughts that I had about these games. If I do more of these, I definitely plan on being more structured and more detailed with them, but for this one in particular, I just wanted to get my thoughts out there quickly. So this was more of a off the top of the head type, you know, off the cuff video, whatever other synonyms, sayings they have for that. Anyway, I know it's been a while since these games came out, so I needed to stop sitting on this video because I kept putting it off. It got to the point where I was like, I just need to do it because I need to move on to other things. I got other games that I want to talk about, and I felt like this was sitting on the back burner for way too long. Hopefully you got some good information from it, and also just, you know, leave your thoughts and opinions in the comments below. I definitely like to hear what you thought of it. So yeah, appreciate you guys, and if you like what you see here, more content will be on the way, so like, subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Later.